Today we are going to discuss Python functions in Python. Okay.
Okay.
So normally when we actually write some code, these are actually lines, line number one, line number two, line number three.
Yes.
So the program actually executes in the sequence. I mean, the first line executes first of all, then the second line executes, then the third line, then the fourth line, and then the last line. Uh,
Okay.
But functions are a different way to control your program. Okay. You
Okay.
can write functions. Functions will do different tasks. For example, you can write a function, and that function can sum the numbers. Okay, or that function may calculate the average of the numbers,
Okay.
and so on. You can create many functions, and then you need to call that function. Okay. We have used these functions before when we wrote simple functions, and then we call the function, and the function executes actually. So we are going to repeat that, and we will do a lot of new things as well. So function is a block of code. Okay, we make blocks uh, of code, which only runs when it is called. And if you do not call that function, it will never run. If you do not call the function, it will never run. Okay. So
So I have
furthermore,
to remember to call it.
yeah, furthermore, you can pass data known as parameters into a function. So we will discuss that, what are the parameters and how we can actually pass the data. Okay. So, but first of all, how we can create a function, this is important. Okay. So we can create the function by using the def keyword, define. So, uh, so this is the name of the function. Okay. My function. And this is the
Okay.
syntax of creating the function. Define my function, and you need to put these two brackets actually, and then a colon at the end of the line. And then here you can write as many lines as you want. So these lines will be part of the function, and this is the whole block. Okay. So whenever we need to call this function, we will call it as my function, and this function will be executed. So here you can see that we have created this function. Actually, this is the whole function. And when we need to we need to actually execute it. We call it my function. Okay. So now we are going to do it. So this is my function. Okay. And here I have called it. I am creating actually some other functions. I have copied. Uh, okay, here I can actually create another function.
Inside of a function?
What?
Why is it like a global variable?
Okay, don't confuse with the global variable. Here it is no variable. Okay, it's just a function name.
Yes, but it is like a global variable.
Okay, but again, I would say don't get confused with the global variable. This is just a
I'm
function.
confused.
Okay, here it is a function and its name is my function, and here it is so this function will actually print hello from a function, and here it is another function and its name is my2, and it will print this is my function too. Okay, so which function I am going to call it? Suppose I am going to call the second one my2. Okay, so what will happen?
It'll say this is my function too.
It will execute this one. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's check. Okay, yes. So you need to actually call that function my2. It will go to here and it will print this. If I write, if I call my underscore function, okay, so now what will happen?
It'll say this is my function too. Hello from a function.
Yes, first of all, it will print this one because we have called my2 first, and then it will going to print this one because I have called my function. Okay,
Okay.
so this is the sequence.
What's it in there?
Okay, you guess why this is the error. Who can actually check this?
I think so. It's because you've you placed an I instead of an U.
Yes, here you can also check name my function is not defined. Okay, it is telling that this is not defined. So instead of the u, I put I. Okay, so now again, if I run this,
It's going to succeed this time.
and what will happen if I again call my2?
It'll just repeat the one that is in there. I know this.
So how many, it doesn't matter how many times I call the function. Whenever I call the function, it will go to that function and it will execute this. Okay?
I know. I learned that in the global variable section.
Yes. And now,
It's going to print all of that.
so what will it do?
It'll print everything.
What everything?
This is my function too. This is my function too. This is my function too.
First
First,
of
it's going
all,
to say
it will it called my function, so it will print this. Okay, and then it will
first,
call
and then the second.
my2. So the my2 function's body is this one. So there are four print statements in that. Okay. Yes. So we actually did a different kind of practice with the functions, that we have actually created two functions, and we called two functions in different ways. Okay. We can
I
again
understand this.
what?
I know this. I learned this in the global variable.
Okay, but in this code, there is no global variable. Okay, this is just a
There is no
function name.
variable, I know.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's still the same.
I don't get confused with global variable. It is just a function. Okay. So now we can pass the arguments as well. So what are those arguments? Arguments means Suppose here is the code. The function name is my function,
A function.
and
And what is that?
inside that function there is
It's
a
F name.
keyword. It's f name or first name, whatever you can say it. Okay. So and then it will print f name and this one refsness. Okay. So what is the f name actually? What is the f name? So this is argument. Okay. This is argument. So what are the arguments? Arguments are when we call the function, we actually also provide the argument. Okay. So just a minute. So when we call this function, this email is going to store in this variable f name. Okay. When we call this argument will go to in this variable. So f name, the value of f name is ml. Okay. So when we will print f name, so it will print ml and refsness. Okay. And then for the second time, we are calling the same function with the different argument. So this argument will be saved in f name. And now when we will print f name, it will print the second value plus roughness. And when we are going to call it for the third time, the Linus will be saved to f name. And when it will print f name, it means it will print Linus refsness. Okay. So I hope you understand.
Okay, but is it a little complicated?
Yes, it's a little complicated, but we are actually going to uh, see it by example. So, erase the drawing. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So now here is the code, and I'm making it simple. So here you can actually understand it easily, that when we call the function, my function, and we also provide the ml name as first name. Okay. So the ml will be stored in f name. So now we are going to print f name. F name is ml, and then refsness, and then refsness. Okay. So it will print ml refsness. Is it clear? Okay. And then for the second time, when we will actually for the second time, we will provide Tobias, and Tobias will be saved to f name. And when we will print the f name, it will print the Tobias refsness. And when we call this function for the third time, so Linus will be saved in f name, and when we will print, so it will print Linus refsness. Okay. So see here. Is it clear now?
I understand it now.
Is it clear?
Yes,
Okay, that's
it's
good.
like loops.
So this technique is called passing the parameters, okay, to function. Passing the parameter to function. We are actually passing this parameter to this function. So you can actually tell that I am passing the arguments or I am passing the parameters. Okay.
Okay.
Well, in short, arguments are often shortened to args. Okay. So arguments can be represented by just ARGS, args. So normally parameters or arguments are the same thing normally. Okay. And then the interesting thing is we can pass two arguments. Okay. So ML and then refness. So in this case, let me again show it. In this case, the ML, sorry, in this case, the ML will be stored into F name and refness will be stored into L name. Okay. So these
Okay.
are the two arguments. And when we will print first name plus a little space plus last name. So it will print this F name and this L name. So what are the values of F name and L name? So these are ML refness, right?
Yes.
So here you can see that ML will go to F name, refness will go to L name, and when we will print F name plus L name, it will print ML refness. Interesting.
Okay, but I could just print it all out.
What print?
Like if I have to say Emil reference, I can just type print Emil reference.
You mean here?
Oh, like I can print it.
Here? You want to do this?
Oh, like I can type in print Emil reference.
So why you will do that? You can, although you can print it, but that will not be a function. It will
Yeah,
print, but it will not be a function, okay?
so I have to do a
I mean,
function
it's a
one sometime.
function. I mean, it's a function, but these are not the arguments, okay? So because ML is stored in F name and we have not printed F name, okay?
Okay,
Right?
okay.
Okay. So again, you can try this.
Hmm. I think so it's going to make an error.
No. So here you actually printed text and here you printed the variables. So this F name and this L name, okay? By a single call of the function, we have printed two lines.
Okay.
Okay, now we actually need to make sure that how many arguments we actually required. So in this example, we need two arguments, okay? fname and lname. But if we are providing a single argument, it will show an error. Okay, because email will go to fname. So what will be stored in lname? Nothing.
Nothing.
So it's an error.
Yeah, because the function it got two,
Yeah.
but the system only got one.
Yes. So there are also arbitrary arguments, and we actually show them with an asterisk arcs. Okay. So what are the arbitrary arguments? If you do not know how many arguments that will be passed into your function, add an asterisk before the parameter name in the function definition. This way, the function will receive a tuple of arguments and can access the items accordingly. For example, how many arguments are these?
Three.
Three. So if we do not know that how many arguments we will pass, we need to actually we need to tell the function that how many arguments we will receive. I mean the first name, last name, middle name. But if we don't know, then we can give it a name and we will place an asterisk or star sign. So in this way, all these three items, I mean this is a tuple, will be stored and will be stored with the name of kids. So here is the kids. So it will become kids 0, it will Emil, and kids 1, it will be Tobias, and kids 2,
Which
it will be
index
Linus. Okay. Yes,
is
it's index.
index?
Yes, it is index. So here I'm calling the function with the three arguments, and these three arguments will go to this list, this tuple, and the tuple contains the uh, indexes. So we can print the youngest child is kids with index 2. So here you can see the youngest child is kids 2. So Linus is 2. Emil is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So this is Linus, okay? Great. And then there are keyword arguments as well. So in this example, we can send the arguments in this way, in this shape. Like we need to actually receive three arguments, child 3, child 2, child 1, okay? And we are sending it that child 1 is Emil. So child 1 will be Emil. And we are telling that, okay, child 2 is Tobias. So the child 2 will be Tobias. And we are telling that child 3 is Linus. So child 3 will be Linus. And then we can print it. The youngest child is child 3.
Okay,
Right?
but I don't know which one is the middle child.
It is your choice. You can tell it whatever. If this is the youngest, this is middle, this is eldest. Okay.
Okay.
And then arbitrary keyword arguments, you can place, sometimes you can place double asterisk keywords. Okay. So what to do, for example, uh, if the number of keyword arguments is unknown, add a double asterisk before the parameter name. For example, here you can tell it that the number of arguments are unknown, and it will be determined from this. This is argument number 1, first name and its value, and this is argument number 2. So there are two
Okay.
arguments are going to kids.
Okay, but I have a good question.
Yes.
What if you delete one of the files and only put one?
This one.
No, not that. No, not that.
This one?
Yes, get rid of that and leave 1.
For example,
And
this
then
one.
what will
Okay.
happen? Yes, all of that. And delete it. Then what will happen? So it'll make no error.
Yes, because we have just learned then when the number of arguments is unknown, that's simple. So it could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 10. Okay, no problem. Okay, sometimes we pass the parameters. We call the function and we pass the parameter. For example, Sweden, it will go to the country. Okay. And then next time when we call the function, we give it a name, India, and then we call the function and we didn't mention any of the arguments, okay? So if, and then for the fourth time when we call the function, we mentioned an argument like named Brazil. So when we call the function and we don't mention any of the argument, it uses the default argument. Okay. So what is the default argument? We can actually tell it while defining the function. It
Which
means,
is Norway.
which is Norway. It means when there will be no parameters, when there will be no parameter, this will be the default parameter. Okay.
Okay.
So actually, it should be like this, okay? Country. So Sweden will go to country, then India will go to country, then nothing will go to country, then Brazil will go to country. Let's run and see what happens. So it's an error in line 6.
Error.
So what is the error? So line number
You did.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there is no argument, okay?
Yeah.
Uh, so it is telling us that there is no argument, okay, to store in country. So what if I put here a name? So will there be still there be an error?
No, it's going to get rid of it, and I am from Pakistan.
Yes, there will be no error, okay? But when it will be empty and mean we are giving no arguments, then we can define uh, that if there is no argument, this is the default argument, okay? So this is interesting. Okay,
Okay.
yes.